Sorry, we'll celebrate another time. Something came up. My family texted as I sat alone at the promotion dinner. I paid the $1,780 bill, left quietly. Hours later, I saw them posing by my brother's racehorse. I canceled the $2,300 allowance, froze their business card, and dropped an envelope that read, "Open together." By morning, 78 missed calls. I booked that table nearly 2 months in advance. 6 seats at Sky Amber, the kind of restaurant where you dine suspended over downtown Seattle, with glass floors and a 5-course tasting menu that costs more than some people's rent. I'd even called ahead to make sure they had the right cake, dark chocolate ganache, with a custom topper that read, "To New Heights, Lead Project Director." That was my title now. After years of 60-hour weeks, impossible deadlines, and more sleepless nights than I could count, I had finally made it. Lead Project Director at Aeronet, the kind of promotion that changes your life. And tonight, I wanted to celebrate it with the people who raised me, my adoptive parents, my siblings, my family. The hostess greeted me with a professional smile. "Welcome, Mr. Carlson. Your table is ready." I nodded and followed her to the edge of the platform, where the table waited, beautifully lit, flanked by skyline views, and completely empty. "They'll be joining shortly," I said. A minute at the time. I ordered a cocktail, then an appetizer, then another drink. The waiter kept refilling my water glass and giving me that look, the kind reserved for people who get stood up at prom. I laughed it off the first time. By the third refill, it wasn't funny anymore. 37 minutes in, my phone buzzed. A group message. "Mom, sorry, something urgent came up. We'll celebrate another time." No explanation, no apology, just that. I stared at the screen, waiting for more. A follow-up, a call, anything, but nothing came. The waiter approached again, still expecting more guests. I forced a smile. "No, this is everyone." He nodded gently, probably used to scenes like this. I didn't need pity. What I needed was to not fall apart in the middle of a luxury restaurant. So I stayed, ate alone, made a small toast to myself, because hell, someone had to. When the bill came, I didn't flinch at the number. $1,780. I handed over my card and tipped generously. It wasn't about the money. It was about the gesture, the commitment I made to honor something that clearly meant more to me than it ever would to them. Outside, the city lights blurred as I walked through the night air, empty streets echoing the silence that now sat in my chest. An hour later, scrolling through my feed on the couch, I saw it. A photo. My parents, my siblings, all grinning wide in front of a racehorse, my younger brothers. The caption read, "Celebrating a big win today. So proud of our boy." They hadn't forgotten. They just chose. I stared at the image, and it hit me all at once, where I stood in the hierarchy of their love. Not first, not second, maybe not even on the list anymore. And just like that, the night that was supposed to mark the beginning of something finally exposed the end of something else. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was angry. I'd felt that already. It was something else. Numb, like someone had flipped a switch inside me, and all the wires that used to spark with hope just went dead. By morning, I had made my decision. I logged into the accounts they never asked about, but always benefited from. The automatic monthly allowance I sent to my parents. $2,300 every month, no questions asked, canceled. The business card I co-signed for my sister's boutique, frozen with a click. No explanations, no warning. I picked out a blank note card from my desk drawer, wrote a single sentence, center-aligned. "This was your choice." Then I folded it once, slid it into a plain white envelope, and wrote in block letters across the front. "Open together." No name, no threats, just that. Let them stew in the ambiguity. The drive to their estate took 45 minutes. I didn't turn on the radio, didn't open the windows, just stared at the highway, hands steady on the wheel. When I pulled into their long, gravel driveway, I didn't bother ringing the bell. I walked up the marble steps, placed the envelope square in the center of the welcome mat, and left. It felt surgical. Back in the car, I turned off my phone, not silenced it, not set it to do not disturb. I shut the whole thing down, because I already knew what was coming. By the time the sun rose the next morning, the storm had arrived. 78 missed calls. 78. From every number I recognized and a few I didn't. My mother, my father, my sister, even the brother who couldn't be bothered to text back most days. Voicemails too. Dozens. All marked urgent. I didn't listen to a single one. I placed the phone in my desk drawer, face down, and closed it. Then I opened my laptop and booked a cabin in Eastern Washington. No Wi-Fi, no cell service. 2 weeks of complete silence. I didn't leave a forwarding address. No announcement. No goodbye. Just an envelope and the weight of a sentence they never thought I'd write. It started with a Facebook post. Not from my sister. Not from my father. From my mother. A simple paragraph, written in that deliberately vague way only moms know how to craft. The kind that sounds harmless until you really read between the lines. Heartbreaking when one forgets the meaning of family over finances. Money can be earned. Family, once broken, may never be whole again. Below it, a stock image of a cracked porcelain heart. She knew exactly what she was doing. In the comments, God, the comments. Cousins chiming in with praying hand emojis. Old friends from her church group saying things like, "You raised them right. Susan, don't let one bad apple sour the whole bunch." Someone I hadn't seen in over 10 years wrote, "Wishing you peace during this difficult time. Some people just lose their way." Not a single person knew what had really happened, because they weren't supposed to. I didn't respond. Not publicly. Not yet. But they weren't done. That same night, I got a direct message from my dad. "Fix this before it's too late." That was it. No greeting. No explanation. Just a threat wrapped in faux wisdom. I stared at it for a few minutes, then deleted it. I didn't need to see what too late looked like. I already knew. 2 hours later, my sister went off. She didn't even ease into it. Just a barrage of texts, one after the other. So fast they stacked on my lock screen like a broken ticker. Well, really? You're going to cut off mom and dad like they're strangers? Selfish much? You think you're the only one who works hard? You embarrassed them. You embarrassed us. I didn't respond. She tried calling after that, 3 times in a row. Then she left a voicemail. I didn't play it. Just deleted it before it even started. The next day at work, I was in a project review meeting when my phone buzzed again. This time, it was from my boss. He shut the door behind him and leaned against my office wall. "Hey, Jack, this might sound strange, but HR got a call this morning." I looked up, confused. "From who?" He winced. "Someone claiming to be your mother." My stomach dropped. "She said she was concerned about your mental state, that you've been unstable, erratic, mentioned you were suddenly pulling away from family support systems and hinted you might be having, I don't know, some kind of episode." I sat there, frozen, my mind racing. He continued, "HR has to log the concern, obviously. But I told them this sounded like a personal matter, that you've been solid here." He waited, giving me the chance to explain. I swallowed hard. "It's not a personal matter. It's a pattern." He gave me a slow nod. "Understood." After he left, I sat in my chair and stared out the window, gripping the arms like the ground might shift under me. My own mother had tried to sabotage my job. This wasn't just a tantrum anymore. They wanted blood, and they weren't hiding it. They thought they could win with whispers, make me look unstable, push me until I folded. But they forgot something. I've always been the one who kept records. It started when I remembered an old shared drive. Years ago, I had set it up for family logistics, holiday planning, tax documents, scanned medical files. It hadn't been used in years, but I never shut it down, just left it there, floating quietly in the cloud. Curious, I logged in. Most folders were untouched, but one, buried deep in the archive under a generic name, caught my eye. Budget 2019. I clicked through. Inside were screenshots, chat logs, PDF exports of group conversations. Not mine, theirs. I read slowly, carefully, each line more surreal than the last. "We all know Jack's just the backup wallet. Plan B bank. He's not even family. Not really. Let him think he's in control. It keeps the money flowing. And then, if he ever tries to pull out, we tell HR he's not well. Worked for that guy in Cheryl's firm. Scared him straight." I sat there in my apartment, heart pounding, reading the receipts of my own betrayal. There were texts between my parents and siblings, laughing about manipulating me, mocking how I never noticed his card kept getting used, plotting how to accuse me of embezzling from the family winery account, a business I wasn't even actively involved in anymore. They'd rehearsed it, even discussed which relative would back the story. That night, I stayed up late, real late. I created a burner email, something untraceable. Then I compiled the files, organized, labeled, timestamped. A package of truth. I called it, "What You Don't Know, the Family You Thought You Knew." And I sent it to every extended relative in my contacts list, to my mom's sisters, to my dad's cousin in Idaho, to my late aunt's husband, even to a few old family friends who always took my parents' side. The next morning, the fallout hit like thunder. The first reply came from Aunt Cheryl. "Is this a joke? Please tell me this is fake." Then Uncle Don, "You covered how much for them?" And they did this. Then a cousin I barely speak to. "Jack, I'm so sorry. I had no idea." By noon, the replies weren't just sympathetic. They were furious. Family group chats imploded. My sister's carefully curated Instagram account lost followers by the hour. My mother's post about family betrayal disappeared, quietly deleted after too many angry comments started appearing beneath it. By nightfall, my burner inbox was flooded. Dozens of messages. Some offering support, some apologizing. A few asking, gently, if I was okay. I didn't answer them. Not yet. I didn't want pity. I wanted clarity. And now, finally, I had it. They weren't just ungrateful. They weren't just manipulative. They were deliberate, calculated. And now? Now they were exposed. Everything they built, the image, the lies, the self-righteous sermons about family unity, was cracking open under the weight of their own words. And I wasn't even finished yet. 2 days later, I got the message. Not a call, not an email, just a single text from my father. "You've declared war. Expect fallout." No signature. No love, Dad. Just pure venom. I stared at it for a while. Let it sit there like a bad smell in a sealed room. Then I got to work. First, I pulled up the account access for the vineyard property, the one I'd helped fund years ago when they wanted to keep the land in the family. I had been co-owner on the deed, not because I asked, but because they couldn't secure the loan without my name. In less than an hour, I had filed the paperwork to remove myself entirely. I disclaimed the property, canceled the insurance tied to my name, and transferred my share of liability into a legal trust, one they couldn't touch. Next, I drained the remaining joint accounts they never should have had access to, but I kept open because it's easier for emergencies. Savings, college trusts, Even the winery backup funds I foolishly contributed to. All gone. Every penny moved. Every tie cut. Then I opened my laptop and typed the words that would become the nail in the coffin. For years, I supported them. For that, I was called unstable. The truth is documented. I will not be used. I posted it publicly, across every platform. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Not with anger, just facts. Screenshots followed. Names redacted for now. But the context was clear. Group chats plotting to fake accusations, financial abuse, manipulation, betrayal. And oh, did people respond? Strangers, colleagues, even old high school classmates I hadn't heard from in decades. Messages poured in. Good for you, man. That took guts. I've been through something similar. Thank you for saying it. But not everyone was supportive. Some came to defend my family, called me bitter, said I was making things public that should have stayed private. So I replied, once, with screenshots. Each time someone tried to paint me as dramatic or cold, I posted a line from their private group chats. A cruel nickname, a fake plan, a joke at my expense. People went silent after that, or they deleted their comments. By midnight, the family Facebook group had been shut down. My sister made her profile private. My mom removed Proud Boy Mom from her bio. They weren't fighting back. They were retreating. But I knew better. They'd come back. They always did. And this time, they'd be more careful, more vicious. But I wasn't afraid anymore. Because I had something I'd never had before. Proof, boundaries, control. And the war they thought they'd started? I was just getting warmed up. She asked to meet in the park. The one with the bell tower, where they used to take us for 4th of July picnics when I was a kid. Where I learned to ride a bike. Where I broke my arm and cried in her lap while she promised everything would be okay. Funny how that version of her felt like someone else now. I got there first. Sat on the old stone bench under the tower, hands in my jacket pockets, staring out at the walking trail like I was just there to enjoy the breeze. I almost left twice before she even arrived. Then I heard her voice. Jack. I turned. She looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, just worn. Makeup neat, scarf tied perfectly, but her eyes were tired, like something in her had finally cracked. She walked over slowly and sat beside me without waiting for an invite. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then, softly, she started. Do you remember when you were 7? You got lost during the lantern parade. We found you behind the cotton candy stand, sobbing because you thought we'd left. I didn't respond. She kept going. I carried you all the way back to the car. Your dad said you needed to toughen up, but I told him you were just sensitive, that you just felt things harder. I stayed quiet. She looked at her hands, twisted them together in her lap. I know you think we abandoned you, and I know the family handled things badly, very badly, but it was never meant to get this far. Then why did it? I asked, voice calm. She looked at me, eyes watery. Because we're stupid. Because we've always leaned too hard on you without realizing how heavy we were. I didn't know what they were saying behind your back. I didn't know the plans, the lies, none of it. I pulled out my phone and played the audio clip. My father's voice filled the air, harsh, threatening, saying I'd started a war, that I should expect fallout, that I was unstable and needed to be cut off. I watched her face as she listened, and then I showed her the screenshot. A group chat, her name, her words. Let him think he's in control. That's the only way he keeps paying. She blinked. A tear slipped out, but the mask didn't fall right away. I didn't mean it like that. You did, I said. You meant it exactly like that. Don't twist it. She went quiet for a long time. Then, in a low, desperate voice, we were scared. You were pulling away, changing everything. And yes, we used you, okay? We used you because we needed you, because you made things easy. I stared at her. She was crying now, but I didn't feel sorry. Not anymore. You didn't need me, I said quietly. You needed my wallet. You needed my silence. You needed someone to blame when things got ugly. That's not fair. It's exactly fair. She wiped her eyes and stood up abruptly, her face twisting. You've always made everything about you, Jack. Your pain, your career, your grudges. You're not the only one who's ever been hurt. I stood too. No, but I'm the only one who tried to fix it. We stood there, facing each other, years of pain between us. If you leave now, she whispered, don't come back. I looked at her for a long second. Then I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. Not when she shouted my name. Not when she started crying louder. Not even when she said, please. I just kept walking. Past the bell tower. Past the playground. Past the version of me that once believed family meant something unbreakable. Because now I knew better. 3 days passed after the park. Silence again. Just like after the envelope. Then the call came. Unknown number. I let it ring once. Twice. Was about to let it go to voicemail when something made me swipe. Hello. A pause. Then a voice I hadn't heard in months. Hey, it's Nate, my adoptive brother, the golden child, the one with the racehorse, the one they'd all bailed on me for. I didn't say anything, just waited. I didn't know if you'd pick up. More silence. Look, he said, his voice quieter now. I didn't think it would get this bad. None of you did. That's because none of you cared enough to think at all, I said, flat. He sighed. That dinner. I know what it looked like. No, you know exactly what it was. He hesitated. I didn't know they were going to ditch your celebration. I swear. I didn't even know you booked that place. I said nothing, not because I didn't believe him, but because I didn't care. It didn't change anything. I've been thinking a lot about everything you did, he continued, more measured now. The college fund, the vineyard loan, Even that business card you co-signed for Emily. I didn't realize how much of it came from you. You didn't want to realize, I said. Big difference. Another beat. You're not wrong. That got my attention. Not because it was an apology. It wasn't. But because Nate didn't say things like that. Ever. I guess what I'm saying is, I never expected you to blow it all up like this, he admitted. You were always the one who kept the peace. Maybe peace was just another way of keeping me quiet, I said. He didn't argue. I'm not calling to fix anything, he said. I don't know. I figured you should hear it from me, that I didn't think this was fair. I nodded slowly, even though he couldn't see it. Noted, I said, then paused. You still going to the track this weekend? No, not anymore. We both went quiet again. Well, he finally said, I won't keep you. I hung up without another word. No promise to reconnect. No olive branch. Just silence. Then I picked up the other phone, the one I only used when I meant business, and made one call. He picked up on the first ring. Rowan, I said. You free? Uncle Rowan didn't ask why. He never did. He just said, give me the numbers. Rowan didn't ask for drama. He asked for figures. So I gave them. The property lien I co-signed, $68,000 remaining. The credit card for my sister's boutique, $14,200, including interest. The monthly allowance to my parents over the past 3 years, $82,800. Miscellaneous family bailouts, transfers, and emergency gifts, another $40,000, easy. Altogether, over 200 grand in favors. And what did I get for it? A photo of my family smiling in front of a horse while I ate dinner alone. Rowan listened without interrupting. When I finished, he cleared his throat. 3 days, he said. 3 days for what? To make it right. He hung up before I could ask what that meant. I didn't try calling back. Rowan wasn't the kind of man you pressed for details. He wasn't technically my uncle either. He was my dad's college roommate, stayed close after my adoption. When I was younger, he'd show up at school events my parents forgot about. Never said much. Just stood in the back in his trench coat, arms crossed, eyes always watching. He was in real estate and venture capital now. The kind of man who didn't need business cards because people knew better than to forget him. 3 days passed like clockwork. On the morning of the third day, I checked my bank account out of habit and froze. A deposit had hit. Small. Exactly $100. No name attached. Then another. 200 this time. Then another. By 11 a.m., the balance had climbed higher than it had been in months. Payments were coming in fast, staggered like someone was sending them from different accounts. Some in even numbers. Some odd. Some weird amounts. Like $7,111. I refreshed once more. The boutique card? Paid off. Entire balance wiped. The lien on the vineyard property? Closed out. Full payment marked as external fulfillment. A message from Rowan popped up on my burner line. It's handled. They won't try again. No explanation. No receipts. Just that. And he was right. I never got another call from the bank. No more payment requests. No mysterious family messages begging for help or trying to explain it all away. Whatever Rowan had done or said, he'd made it clear. The bank was closed. Permanently. I didn't ask how the money was extracted. I didn't want to know, but I imagined it wasn't pleasant. And I smiled. Not because I was vindictive, but because, for the first time, I wasn't alone in the fight. I left the city a week later. No goodbye party. No formal notice. I sent HR an email with my new address and nothing else. The apartment I moved into was brand new. Top floor of a clean, glass-sided building in Boulder, Colorado. 2 bedrooms, minimalist layout, and a view of the mountains that made you forget everything behind you. I signed the lease under a new name. Legal. Clean. Rowan's lawyers helped. The old Jack Carlson was still out there somewhere on paper, but he didn't live here. The new job came through a contact Rowan had set up months ago. Head of systems at a startup building magnetic rail transports. Early stage, high pressure, high pay. Exactly the kind of work I loved, minus the family baggage. No one here knew my history. No one cared. I decorated the place with clean lines and no past. No family photos. No live, laugh, love wall art. Just matte black frames with abstract prints. Bookshelves lined with engineering manuals and novels I'd always meant to read, but never had time for. The only personal item I kept was a single glass paperweight on my desk, a sphere filled with suspended metal flecks. A gift from Rowan when I was 17. He once told me, you either become what they say you are, or you become something so far out of reach they stop trying to define you. I didn't really understand it back then. Now I did. I changed my phone number, burned the SIM card with my old one, deleted every social media account tied to my name. The new ones were private, locked down, blank bios, no tags, no history. The address wasn't listed anywhere. If you search me, you wouldn't find me. Just some outdated photos on old school websites. Maybe a mention in a conference catalog, but nothing new, nothing traceable. The few people who needed to reach me already had the number. That list included Rowan and exactly no one else. Back in Seattle, I imagined the silence was louder than ever. Calls unanswered. Emails bounced. Their favorite wallet had disappeared, and this time, it wasn't coming back. I wasn't hiding. I was done performing. I looked out from my new balcony one night, the city below twinkling faintly through the mountain air. I took a sip of black coffee and realized I wasn't waiting for anyone to call. I wasn't on standby anymore. I was building something that didn't need to survive their approval. Something mine. The call came just after sunrise. Same number as always. Rowan. I was halfway through my morning coffee, standing on the balcony in a t-shirt and sweatpants, letting the mountain air wake me up. I answered with one word. Yeah. Rowan's voice was calm. Clipped. They're done. I leaned against the railing. Define done. Your father's given up. Publicly. Quietly. He's not coming after you again. I exhaled slowly. Let the words settle in the space around me. Got it. There was a pause. You good? He asked. I looked out at the horizon, watched the first sunlight creep over the ridge. I'm better than I've ever been. Rowan didn't say anything right away. Then, you know where I am if they try again. I know. Good. Click. That was it. No warm goodbye. No drawn-out talk about closure. Rowan wasn't built for that kind of thing. And honestly, neither was I. That night, I sat on the balcony again. No music. No news. Just the wind and the quiet. From this height, the world felt still, like it wasn't waiting for me to explain anything anymore. Sometimes I get updates. Not often. Rowan would text short phrases, always unprompted. Sister's boutique shut down. Winery is being sold. Mother tried contacting an old friend of yours. Blocked. Every time, I'd reply the same way. Thank you. It became our thing. Him sending the damage reports. Me confirming they didn't matter. I didn't follow up. Didn't ask what happened to the house. Or if they still had the vineyard. Or how many bridges they were trying to unburn. It wasn't my business anymore. My world was smaller now. Quieter. No group texts. No last-minute money requests. No thinly veiled guilt trips disguised as concern. Just work, coffee, skyline views. Some days, I think about who I used to be. The guy who booked a 6-person dinner and waited alone under dim lights while his family posed with a horse. That version of me had been desperate to belong. But this version? He didn't need belonging. He had freedom. Not the kind you run toward, but the kind you build, slowly, once you finally stop running. And no one was chasing me anymore.